Shannon Sharpe dug his own pit and then turned around and dove head first into it. Because despite the warnings that he was given by Cat Williams, Monique, and so many other people, he continued his self-destructive behavior. And then, after starting negotiations for a media deal worth more money than he had ever seen in his life, he even doubled down on his foolishness. Because based on what his lawyer revealed about his being willing to pay a $10 million settlement to this alleged OF worker, it's clear that the skeletons in his closet are messier than anyone ever thought. But what's more clear is someone already paid this woman. Because what 20-something-year-old who's had to resort to OF work to support herself is walking away from a guaranteed $10 million up front?
Exactly. And Shannon Sharpe is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Just period.
Absolutely.
And you spoke about doubling down. Well, someone who is doubling down is Monique. Now, y'all know she on the show now with Cat Williams. They're doing their tour. Their tour.
Mm-hmm.
And honey, yes, she's doubling down. Yes, I told that to leave these young women. She is doubling down, and we say go Mo.
Exactly.
Go Mo, because you certainly did sit there and tell him. He is ridiculous.
Exactly. Cat Williams told him and even looked at him through the entire time. He gave examples of what could happen with the lifestyle he was living. And the very interesting thing is, there was this rumor recently going around that Shaq had possibly had something to do with him being exposed.
I heard that.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because back in the day, it's probably about a year ago, Shaq and him actually had beef over something that Shaq said about someone getting MVP. Not someone else should have gotten MVP other than the person who got it.
Okay, yeah.
And Shannon commented on Shaq's position, saying that Shaq was jealous of the person who had gotten the MVP.
Wow.
Because Shaq never got more than one MVP in his entire career.
Shade.
So Shannon said that, and he even said something like, if Shaq had the work ethic that Shannon had, then he would have had like over 40,000 points. So he would have had all the MVPs he could handle. So basically, Shaq don't work as hard as Shannon does.
That's what he was saying.
That's what he was saying.
That's what he was saying.
Vaunted himself up. So Shannon is showing you the type of arrogance that he's been working with for quite some time. And Shaq, in response to that, back in 2024, he went so far as to do a diss track against him, against Shannon. And part of the diss track, he said that this man's whole demeanor is fake.
Oh.
So that good old country boy, he giggle.
He called it.
Yeah, he said all that's fake. And then in some social media post at the time, Shaq said, basically, you better be quiet because I know what you did to get where you are.
See?
Exactly.
And really, he called him a fool.
Mm-hmm.
An old fool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Speaking of old, his age.
Yes.
And doing what he doing out here.
Yes.
And not listening to Monique.
Yep.
Not listening to Cat Williams.
Yep.
Thinking everything is funny. So Shaq was on to something when he said he was fake.
Exactly.
Okay? He out here faking this and faking that. And look at the position he's in now. Mm-hmm. And he has no one to blame but himself.
So based on that old beef, just a few weeks ago, an audio track dropped with Matt Barnes' voice, someone that sounds like Matt Barnes on there, saying that, he heard that he said he was on a group call. He was in a group call, and Shaq is giving big money to anyone who can expose Shannon Sharpe.
Whoa.
So if anyone had dirt on him, if there was something, Shaq was going to give some big money because Shannon Sharpe had did something foul to him. And, he was off him. Shaq was off Shannon Sharpe, but just don't tell nobody. But if you got something, then let them know. So that audio came out, and of course Matt Barnes was like, that's not his voice, that's fake, whatever. And even Shaq came out with some sort of
spoof.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is Shaq. Everybody know where Charles Barkley at? I got some big money if you tell me where it's at. And remember, don't tell nobody.
Oh, I saw that. Shaq is so funny.
So basically, someone's putting out this that someone has set Shannon up some kind of way.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think it's Shannon's team putting this out to take the heat off of him. Because this is something that could be, if you look at the signs of the time, you look at the people who are being brought down. Okay, yeah, there may be an agenda, but
you did this to yourself. Exactly.
There wouldn't be any agenda to put out if you didn't do the math.
You did this to yourself. So, stop the cap. Stop the cap.
Exactly. And he just did this whole resurface clip with Shannon talking about, I want to date my wage, not my age, all that.
Foolishness.
All that foolishness.
Shannon Sharpe finding out dating his wage is a trap, not a flex, is giving.
I want to date my wage, not my age. I want to date my wage. So where are they? Because y'all always talking about date your age, date your age. I want to date my wage. So come on with it.
Well, you talking,
as a matter of fact, I'm taking applicants as we speak.
Gotcha, bitch.
That right there, that's his trap. He fell into all of that foolishness because of his own
mouth.
Exactly. And his own actions. Exactly.
Actions.
Bad habits.
Bad behavior.
He's been on this type of time since he started in the NFL. That was back in 94 when he's been doing this type of mess with these women since then.
Ridiculous.
And he hasn't learned yet, despite restraining orders, despite other lawsuits, because this is not the first one. He's been doing this since then.
This man been asking for this,
He has.
He didn't know how to accept the fame. He didn't know how to accept what he was privileged to get. He did this to himself.
Exactly.
With all the warnings that came his way, even out of his own mouth, talking about he gonna date his wage. All that foolishness.
And it's very interesting to think about his past and how he's had these allegations before, he's had lawsuits and restraining orders before, and it makes you think that he's bought his way out of them with him being so willing to pay this $10 million to this girl. And that brings us back to the point that this OF worker, alleged OF worker, 20-something years old, she is not getting ready to turn down $10 million up front. Because this is the thing. Let's say the 10 million was on the table. They knew the 100 million was coming. It was a possible deal. But they never let him sign the $100 million deal. So if they're going to now go in and ask for $50 million, where is that supposed to come from? Because there is no more $100 million deal.
Something's up.
The very fact that she is allegedly an OF worker means that she wants demands right now. She's not waiting for long-term payoffs. Right?
Yeah.
She wants what she wants right now. So that just the very nature of her work tells you that.
It's like people are saying now, and she walked away from 10 million. Come on.
No way she would do that. Which means, because here's the thing, look how long it took for Diddy to come to trial. That's over a year. You know, from when the first thing, the allegation started.
Right.
So that's over a year that it took for him to even be brought to trial. Civil trials take even longer to come to the forefront than criminal trials.
Right.
So she walks away from $10 million up front in her hand. She don't have to do nothing else to, okay, well, there might be a civil trial 2 or 3 years later where you could possibly get $50 million. No way. Somebody came to her. It just seems like somebody came to her. We'll give you this amount right now just to let the lawsuit out. So that
the streets are talking.
This will be exposed, so Shannon won't even have that $100 million deal to go off of. Because this dude has been an embarrassment, really, is what it is.
He is.
He got all of this with the Cat Williams interview. He said that he made more on that Cat Williams interview than he did in his NFL career.
Yes, he did.
So
say
that went to his head. He got all that. Stephen A. Smith vouched for him and got him that ESPN first look deal or first take, whatever that was.
Yes, he did.
He got him on that show with him, vouching for his character. Yet this man is fooling around doing all this type of mess that Steven don't even associate with. Make Steven look bad, because how you gonna bring this man to us when he has this bad character?
Yes, that made him look some kind of way, but I'm glad Steven got out ahead of that, and he told, look, you know what? I'm not saying, I can't tell you what's going to happen from here, but everybody knew, because we're like, dude, this dude has had more chances than anybody we have seen.
Exactly.
And continue to blow each one.
Exactly. It almost makes you think he's some sort of plant. Because how is someone like Shannon Sharpe making it this far in the communication field? I mean, yes, I know where you're going with that. This is media and communications. He didn't really get $100 million deal for communication.
For communications, and you know when we first encountered this man, and we heard him, we what the.
What?
Exactly. And then to be given an opportunity like that by Stephen A. Smith and to blow it.
Yeah.
Oh,
man. It's interesting. People put in front of us what they kind of want people to go towards.
Okay.
You know, as far as what the culture ends up looking up as role models, things like that. And everyone knew what Shannon has been getting up to all this time. This time.
And what was in the dark has come fully to the light.
Exactly. For such a time as this, to be exposed.
To be exposed.
Exactly.
This is it. This is continuing the year of exposure. And making people accountable.
And it's happening quickly.
That's it. That's all.
All right. Let us know what you think in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.